There is a man sitting alone in a coffee shop right now, and he is smiling. No phone calls to manage, no emotional landmines to navigate, no version of himself he needs to perform. Just coffee, silence, and something that took him years to find: peace. And the shocking part is not that he is alone. The shocking part is that he chose this, deliberately, knowingly, after trying everything the world told him he needed. This is the pattern nobody is talking about honestly. Men who had every reason to keep chasing are quietly, systematically opting out of the dating game entirely. And instead of falling apart the way everyone predicted, they are building the most grounded, focused, genuinely satisfying versions of their lives they have ever lived. If you have ever felt like the cost of modern relationships was quietly draining something out of you, stay with me, because what these men discovered changes everything. Now think about someone you know, a man in his 30s, maybe 40s, decent, reliable, the kind of person who shows up. A few years ago, he was in the game, trying, investing, hoping. Today, he is not. And when you ask him how he is doing, there is something different in his answer. He does not look wounded. He does not look like he is missing something. He looks lighter. And that lightness is what this entire conversation is about. Because here is what nobody warned us about. When a man finally stops chasing something that was never going to give him what he actually needed, he does not collapse. He exhales, and that exhale can change the entire direction of a life. If what you are hearing is resonating, take 2 seconds and subscribe. The conversations happening on this channel are ones most people are afraid to have out loud. Here's the part that took me a long time to understand. These men did not give up. That framing is completely wrong. Giving up implies defeat. What these men did was something far more deliberate. They ran the numbers. They looked at what they were putting in. The time, the emotional labor, the financial exposure, the constant recalibration of themselves to meet expectations that kept shifting. And then they looked at what they were getting back, and the math did not work. It is not cynicism, it is literacy. These men learned to read a situation clearly and respond to what was actually there, not what they had been promised would be there. And what they found on the other side of that decision is the thing that no one predicted. Their nervous systems finally got to rest. You might not think of a nervous system as something that can be exhausted by a relationship, but talk to a man who spent years walking on emotional eggshells, years bracing himself when he heard a certain tone of voice, years trying to regulate not just his own internal world, but someone else's as well. Ask him what it felt like the first night he came home to absolute silence and realized nothing was about to go wrong. He will tell you it felt like putting down a weight he had been carrying so long he forgot it was there. Sleep improved. Focus sharpened. The low hum of anxiety that had become the background noise of his daily life simply stopped. And in that stillness, something unexpected started to grow. He started to become himself again. Not the version of himself that had been slowly edited down to fit someone else's preferences. Not the version that had learned to apologize for taking up space. The original version. The one with opinions and hobbies and an appetite for his own life that had been quietly starved for years. That man, once rediscovered, is very hard to give up. Now here is where the story gets genuinely uncomfortable for the culture at large. Because we have spent decades telling men that their value is relational, that a man without a partner is a man who has failed some fundamental test of maturity or desirability. The lonely bachelor was supposed to be the cautionary tale, the warning, the thing no man wanted to become. But something cracked in that story, and the crack appeared when men started comparing the cautionary tale to their actual lived experience, and realized the cautionary tale was better. The lonely bachelor, who is actually not lonely at all, is a problem for a narrative built on the assumption that men need women to be complete. Because if he is fine, genuinely fine, not performing fine, but actually sleeping well and laughing more, and building things he is proud of, then the leverage disappears. And leverage, it turns out, was doing a lot of the heavy lifting in the traditional relationship model. Here's the thing about social media that no one wants to say plainly. It did not just change how people date, it changed what people believe they deserve. And it did so by placing the most extraordinary versions of human life on a permanent, infinite loop directly in front of people who are living ordinary ones. A man who is hardworking and decent and genuinely good is no longer being compared to the men in his neighborhood or his social circle. He is being compared to the top fraction of a percent of men on the entire planet, curated and filtered and lit to perfection, scrolling past in an endless stream that never lets anyone feel like enough. He felt that comparison. He felt the gap between who he was and who the algorithm suggested she could have. And at some point, a certain kind of man stops trying to close a gap that was designed to never close. He steps back from the screen. He goes outside. He builds something real with his hands, or his mind, or his mornings. And he finds that reality, his actual concrete daily reality, is far richer than the performance he was being asked to compete with. The men who opt out are not retreating into emptiness. They are advancing into substance. And this is the part that tends to stop people mid-thought when I say it. A man at peace in his own life is not a man who gave up on love. He is a man who raised his standard for what love actually has to feel like, because he now has a reference point. He knows what it feels like to come home and feel safe. He knows what it feels like to wake up without dread. He knows what a calm Tuesday evening feels like and what it is worth. And that knowledge makes him the most selective person in any room. He is not looking for someone to complete him. He is already complete. He is looking for someone who makes his complete life even richer. And that is an entirely different search than the one he was running before. That search has very high standards that most of what modern dating offers simply does not meet. And rather than lower them, he keeps them, and keeps building, and keeps sleeping well. Here is what the culture still has not fully processed. When you spend years telling a group of people that they are the problem, that their instincts are dangerous, that their desires are toxic, that their very nature requires constant monitoring and correction, some of those people will eventually believe you. And then they will act accordingly. They will decide that if they are the problem, the solution is to remove themselves from the equation. And once they experience the result of that removal, once they feel the relief of no longer being the source of someone else's dissatisfaction, the motivation to re-enter the equation evaporates. You cannot spend a decade telling men they are unnecessary and then be surprised when they start acting like it. Now, I want to be precise about something because this conversation tends to get misread. This is not an argument against love. This is not a case for permanent solitude as a life philosophy. The men who have found peace in opting out are not broken. They are not anti-women. They are not building walls. They are building gates. Gates they control. Gates that only open for something worth opening for. For a woman who brings consistency instead of chaos. For a relationship that adds to a life instead of managing one. For a partnership built on genuine mutual respect instead of an ever-shifting performance review where the criteria are never quite clear and the passing grade is never quite reachable. Those relationships still exist. The men who have found peace know they exist, but they also know they are rare enough that waiting for one is a better investment than settling for its opposite. And patience, it turns out, is a lot easier when you are already happy. So here is what I want to leave you with, because this is where the story arrives, and it is not where most people expect it to land. The man in the coffee shop at the beginning of this, the one sitting quietly with something settled in his expression, he is not a man who failed to find love and is making peace with it. He is a man who found something first, something that love, when it is real and when it is right, should never ask him to give up. He found himself. He found the version of himself that exists when no one is asking him to be different. The version that wakes up with a plan that belongs entirely to him. The version that measures his days, not by whether someone approved of them, but by whether they were genuinely, quietly good. That man is not waiting to be rescued from his peace. He is protecting it. And the shocking thing, the thing that changes the entire frame of this conversation, is that protecting your own peace is not selfishness. It is the most honest thing a person can do. The men who figured that out are not lost. They are not cautionary tales. They are the beginning of a shift in what it means to build a life with intention. And whether the culture catches up to that or not, those men are not waiting to find out. They already have everything they need to start.